extends to other areas as well. These include agriculture, education and skills development, energy and infrastructure, science and technology, among others. Blue or ocean economy, maritime security and counter-terrorism are also areas where we need to focus more. An ancient African proverb says, "It takes a whole village to raise a child." And nothing is more important in the village than the role of mothers. Both India and Africa greatly value and are committed to work together to promote gender equality and empowerment of women. The African Union is celebrating this year as the Year of Women Empowerment. In India too, we have taken several measures to further protect and promote women's rights. Our flagship program, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, is a nationwide campaign to increase awareness on celebrating the birth of girl child and enabling her education. This is another area where we can collaborate further. Excellencies, in a month's time, the international community will gather in Paris to conclude an ambitious agreement to combat climate change. Our negotiators are cooperating closely in Bonn currently. We look forward to finalizing an ambitious and comprehensive climate change agreement based on the principles of equity and common but differentiated responsibilities. The challenge of global warming can only be addressed adequately through technological solutions and financial resources to manage the transition. The developing countries, while undertaking ambitious actions on their own, need to be assisted to mitigate climate change and to adapt and adjust to this impact. India and Africa have shared concerns and interests in this regard. The Paris meeting on climate change will be closely followed by the 10th Ministerial meeting at the WTO in Nairobi. The international trade regime is another very important aspect that shapes the possibilities for promotion of improved livelihoods and standards of living in our countries. We have noted with interest the recent announcements regarding the signing of a tripartite free trade agreement and the launch of negotiations for the creation of a continental free trade agreement in Africa. These are important developments and will stimulate further trade and investment. India and Africa have also cooperated with other partners, including third countries and international groupings and institutions, on certain capacity building projects, the special concerns and priorities of the least developing countries, landlocked developing countries, and the small island developing states relating to economic and development needs and protection against vulnerability require collective action by the international community. In 2014, India and Africa actively participated in and endorsed the outcomes of the second UN conference on landlocked developing countries held in Vienna. The Ministerial Conference on LDCs held in Benin and the third UN Conference on SIDs held in Samoa. I am sure that we will continue to work together in promoting the interests of the LDCs, LFDCs and SIDs as part of their partnership. Excellencies, we have just celebrated the 70th year of the establishment of the United Nations. Although Indians and Africans comprise nearly 2.5 billion people, our nations continue to be excluded from appropriate representation in the institutions of global governance. Unless we put in place more democratic global governance structures, the more equitable and just international security and development frameworks that are essential for the collective peace and prosperity of this planet will continue to elude us. There can no longer be pockets of prosperity in vast areas of underdevelopment and insecurity. India and Africa can no longer be excluded from their rightful place of the permanent membership of the UN Security Council. How can we expect legitimacy from a governance structure that excludes the entire African continent and a country which represents 1/6 of humanity? The 70th session of the UN General Assembly is an opportune moment to achieve concrete results on this long-pending issue. We welcome the progress achieved during the 69th session of the UNGA under the leadership of His Excellency Mr. Sam Kutesa towards